A very good morning to all my dear friends. I am Prashant Mavani. I hope you all are doing good. Today is 18th of September 2020. I would like to start today's discussion with this line from a very interesting book that I am reading for the second time. The name of the book is The 5M Club. The flow of life rewards positive action and punishes hesitation. If you are hesitating in doing something, then you will not get anything out of it. In fact, the life will punish you if you are hesitating in doing or taking right actions. But if you stand up and if you execute that idea, then there are chances that life will reward you. And definitely life will reward you if you take positive action. Think about it with this, dear friends. We have 4 interesting articles on our table. The first one, a push for reform. This one is about United Nations, why we need to reform United Nations. The second is reject this inequitable climate proposal. Now, United Nations Secretary General has advised our country about coal, and we are going to discuss why he is wrong. Need for caution. This one is about COVID-19 vaccine. For the welfare of animals. Very interesting, very important article. And then we have news items. Dear friends, StudyIQ team has designed a smart course. This smart course is for Civil Services Examination. It covers your pre as well as mains examination. And to find out more about it, all you have to do is download our mobile application. Till 21st of September 2020, EMI offer is also available. So make the most out of it. You can download the PDF of today's lecture from my Telegram channel, and you can follow me on Facebook as well. A push for reform. United Nations General Assembly 75th session is going to take place in near future. Now we are in September, and September every year we find United Nations General Assembly taking place in New York, USA. So this month, the month of September, is very busy for diplomats around the world, because before that, before this meeting, you have to prepare for this UN General Assembly, and during this or in between, you have so many meetings with so many other countries. So it's a very busy month for sure, right? This was just a sort of fact that I thought I should share with you guys, or I want to throw some light on. Now, 75th session means this is for the 75th time General Assembly is going to meet. This itself means that United Nations is 75 years plus old. The time when this institution came into being, things were different, right? A few countries were very powerful. Most of the nations on this planet were very poor. They were not, technologically that advanced. And 75 years ago, a country that was, a military power was the most powerful country. But in today's world, it's not. Of course, military or security plays a very important role, of course. But that is not just enough. Economical development, science and technology, then fundamental values like, is your country democratic? Are people in your country enjoying equal rights? And there are so many other things as well. So success, as well as the definition of success or definition of developed nation, as well as our understanding about society, and so many things have changed basically. So of course we need a more up-to-date United Nations, I would say new version, or we need to resurrect this institution, because if you ask me, then it has not performed as per our expectation, right? Under this eyes of United Nations, we have seen countries like USA and UK taking unilateral action against Iraq, right? 2003, these two countries, they attacked Iraq. These countries are part of P5, so they can misbehave, they can do whatever they like. This is something that is quite visible, and this is not fair for the world, because United Nations is, it looks democratic, but it is not operating. Means the real, if you dig a little bit inside UN, then you find that it is, there are few countries who are controlling UN, and the world, and that is not fair. And the strange thing or the paradox is that these countries are democratic countries like USA, UK. Right? These nations are democratic nations, but when it comes to UN, they are more authoritarian. Structure of the 15-member Security Council needs to change as well. What we have here in Security Council, United Nations Security Council, or UNSC, you have 5 permanent members. So you have UK, you have France, USA, Russia, and China. These are the 5 nations who are part of this United Nations Security Council. So these 5 are P5, that means they are permanent members, right? They will stay there forever. And then you have 10 more members. These members are non-permanent members. So election takes place, and for 2 years a country will get selected. If it wins, then it will be elected for 2 years. It will become one of this 10 non-permanent member, and after 2 years someone else will come and replace. But these countries will stay where they are. The big difference is that only these 5 nations, they have veto power. So how veto power works is that let's say you have these 5 nations, and these 5 nations are discussing a topic that they need to attack Iran so that they can destroy Iran's nuclear facilities and things like that, whatever, right? I'm not saying they have it, I'm just giving you a rough example. So if 3 nations, or let's say 4 nations are for it, if they are saying that yes, we need to control Iran, but if just one country, let's say if Russia says that no, we cannot attack Iran, or we are not in favor, or Russia is not in favor of attacking Iran, then this decision, you need to stop this. You have to drop this idea of attacking Iran. So this is how it works. Even if one nation will say no, then that will be a no. But if all 5 nations will say yes, then that will become a yes. And they have misused this veto power for their own selfish motives. I'll give you an example of China. Many times China has literally protected Pakistan. Even China is aware, and the whole world is aware, that Pakistan has done something wrong in the past, and it's doing continuously. But I'm just saying that in past we have seen this sort of things, that when a resolution is kept in front of this UNSC, then all other nations will say yes, we need to do this thing, but just China will come and save Pakistan. So this is a pure misuse of this veto power, and they are doing it, but no one can do anything about it. One more thing. See, if you see P5 nations, then you have 2 big rivals here. At present, you see that this USA versus China is going on. USA versus Russia is also going on for a very long period of time. But when it comes to, when you will propose this thing, that how about making India part of this permanent team or permanent group? How about P6, in which you have India also? Then these 5 countries together will say no. And the strange thing is that India is not part of United Nations Security Council, even though our country represents 18% of global population. If you go back and see the figures of World War I, then you will find that 1/6 of all British forces were made up of Indians. 54,000 Indians lost their lives in World War I. 65,000 Indians were wounded, 4,000 missing, 70 million rounds of ammunition was provided by Indians. 6 lakh rifles and machine guns were provided by India, and 1.3 million personnel, Indian personnel, served in this World War I. This is just figure of World War I. And then as well, we are not part of it. I got these figures from this famous speech of Shashi Tharoor at Oxford Union. It's available on YouTube. You can watch it anytime you like. It will give you so many figures. So the strange thing is that in today's world, we represent 18% of global population. We have done enough, or we played a very important role in World War I, World War II as well. And we are contributing in, if I'm not wrong, then we are 3rd largest contributor when it comes to United Nations peacekeeping force. But then as well, we are not part of this permanent membership. There are countries like Brazil, Germany, Japan. So together we are G4. India is also part of these G4 nations. And we are betting for becoming part of UNSC permanent, or we are trying to get UNSC permanent membership for ourselves, right? India is also trying, and we are backing each other as well. We are also supporting each other. We are also saying that Germany should become part. We are also saying that Brazil should become part. We are also saying Japan should become part, and these three countries are also saying the same thing for India. But there is a competition, right? But if you ask me, then I would say that this is also not going to be fair. If India becomes part of it, then we will feel very happy about it. But what about other countries? They would be in the same position where we are at present. So what we need is we need a more proper democratic way of selecting United Nations Security Council members. And see, in the past, these countries, right, USA, UK, what they did in Iraq, we all know that later on Tony Blair said that there was a big mistake, we got wrong information, and this was the main reason why we attacked Saddam Hussein's regime. I'm not saying Saddam Hussein was a good guy, I'm not saying he's a bad guy. What I'm saying is that these countries, they were wrong, USA and UK, when they attacked Iraq, right? Because they never got this green signal from United Nations, and after that as well, nothing happened to them. India's election in June as a non-permanent member of the UNSC is a good thing. We are going to be part of this non-permanent, or we are going to be non-permanent member for next 2 years, starting from 1st January 2020. We got 184 votes. This itself indicates that there are so many countries in the world, they favor India. They see India as a country that will do right things if you allow India to be at the very top of the table. And it's not that the world has not tried. General Assembly's 122nd plenary meeting in 2008 decided to facilitate the reform process through intergovernmental negotiations framework. But in 2015, it was rejected by USA, Russia, and China. So what we need to do is all countries must have, the voice of their voice should be able to influence policy, and for that we need to have a proper democratic functioning United Nations. Now see, WHO is also part of UN, but can we say that WHO has played its role very well in fighting this coronavirus pandemic? I would say, if you ask me personally, I would say no. Too much of too many things, too much information, and nothing, not sticking to one thing. That means you are confused. We do understand that when something new turns up, then you learn so many things, and then learn as you go. That's how you do. But giving instructions, helping countries, I think it has failed. So again, it is part of the root cause is not up to date, not latest version. That's what we want, latest version of United Nations that reflects the reality of 21st century. Dear friends, please make sure that you share this lecture with other students. Hit the like button if you have learned something from today's discussion, and please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Now on your screen we have one more topic that is not directly associated with United Nations, but United Nations Secretary General has said that India should give up coal immediately and reduce emissions by 45% by 2030. So in next 10 years, we need to, from now itself, we need to get rid of, we need to reject coal. That's what he has said, immediately. And we need to reduce emissions by 45%. It may sound good, but it's not practical, and it's biased, to be honest. I have one question for you. Can you give me the name of the person who is at present UN Secretary General, and can you also tell me his home nation's name? What is his home country's name, or he belongs to which country? Stick your answer in the comment section. Now, what he is suggesting is that India should deindustrialize, and we need to close our factories, our energy production, and this will of course increase poverty, but that's fine, because this idea is coming from United Nations Secretary General. This is not practical advice, and he knows this thing very well, that India is doing everything that it can. He is quite aware that India, by any yardstick of reckoning, is punching at least on a par, if not above its weight, in responsibility and economic capacity in climate action. Is he saying the same things for, let's say, USA? He should do the same thing, right? USA is emitting huge amount of gas, and not just now. Greenhouse gases I'm talking about. It's not just from few years. It's doing it for more than 100 years. And there is a difference. If you see foundational principles of United Nations Framework or Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC, then it clearly says that there is a difference between responsibilities and commitments, or you cannot treat developed nations, or you cannot treat developing countries just like developed nations. Developing countries, they have their own challenges, first thing. Second thing, they are not the one who have destroyed or they have damaged our environment. It is these developed nations, the rich countries. So it's their responsibility to transfer technology. It's their responsibility to take step. That does not mean that developing nations should do nothing about it. They should also take step, but their steps are going to be gradual, because they are struggling with so many things. First thing, and the second thing, they don't have that much money. So this rich and developed nations, because they have destroyed the environment, they should take action. But unfortunately, even United Nations Secretary General is not advising, or is not passing this sort of comments or advices to these developed nations. He's telling us to do what to do and what we should not do. China and India, as per UN Secretary General, should reduce their emissions by 45% by 2030. Now, if you see India's track record, we have a very ambitious renewable energy program. I'm not sure whether we will be able to achieve it, but if we achieve 175 gigawatt by 2022, then that's going to be amazing, right? We need that. Second thing is, when it comes to energy efficiency, we are very good. There are only few countries who are genuinely working or doing things to make sure that this global average temperature will be below 2 degrees Celsius, and we are taking actions that will help us to maintain or to stay below 2 degrees Celsius. And when it comes to Paris Agreement commitments, we are on our track of fulfilling. And again, there are only few countries who will be able to achieve it, and India is going to be part of it. So we are doing so many things, but then as well, unfortunately, he is telling us what to do. India's annual emissions are 0.5 tons per capita. If you compare it with global average, it is 1.3 ton. Total emission, cumulative emissions, if you see, then India contributes somewhere around 4%. Right, and European Union contributes 20%. Now see the big difference. We have what? 1.3 billion population, or 18% of global population is contributing just 4%, and 448 million people are contributing 20%. So European Union needs to do more. If you go through UNFCCC report between 1990 and 2017, these developed nations, excluding Russia and East Europe, these nations have reduced their annual emissions by only 1.3%. This is nothing at all. China, USA, EU, they are leading emitters in absolute terms. And these three parties, China, US and EU's per capita emissions are higher than this average. But then as well, the Secretary General is not telling them. In fact, when he was in China, he was talking good things about China. So this is more like first world strategy. As I told you, as we were discussing this thing with United Nations, this developed nations, what they want to do is they will, they want us. They will try to create scenarios, and they will try to present things in such a way that it may look like they are helping us, but in fact, what they are doing is they are forcing their agenda on developing countries, and they are making money out of it as well. So this is not right, and we need this manufacturing. We need to use coal and fossil fuel. We know that it is bad. For time being, we don't have any other option, so we have to use it, because there are theories, there are studies, they say that, and this is also right, that if a poor country is going to pollute more, But if that country will stay under poverty, then that is going to be bad for the world. So want to change the scenario, then you need to take out a country out of poverty, and that's what India is doing. And at the same time, of course, we need to focus more on our renewable energy technologies, R&D, production, sales. We can export it, raw material, and all sustainable way of doing things. Of course, we need to do these things as well. Moving on to next item, dear friends, need for caution. This one is about COVID-19 vaccine. Now, the Russian Direct Investment Fund has decided that it is going to, this RDIF is piloting this Sputnik 5 vaccine. So it has announced a partnership with Dr. Reddy's Laboratories that is based in Hyderabad. So phase 3 trial of this Sputnik 5 will take place in our country. RDIF would supply 100 million doses, and Sputnik 5 is being developed as 2-dose vaccine on a human adenovirus vaccine platform. So far, this Sputnik 5 is quite promising because phase 1 and phase 2 are considered safe and efficacious by the Lancet as well. And, the strange thing or the controversy is just this thing that before this phase 3 trial, Russian regulators gave a green signal to this Sputnik 5. So that is just a controversy with it. But of course, we are going to have trials in our country. So what we expect is we need good practices. We expect that good practices and all those necessary protocols will be followed. Political pressure is too much on regulatory agencies because every nation would like to see, would like to be the first nation to develop and have ample amount of this COVID-19 vaccine. But we should not allow this political pressure to take us to a wrong path, because if something goes wrong with your body after taking this medicine, then that is going to be another problem. So we don't want to see that thing. The Serum Institute has committed that it will produce 100 million doses for India. And we were talking about this thing yesterday as well. Remember that we need to build up our manufacturing capacity, and we need to develop. We have this good cold chain storage, but we need to increase it, and we need to plan ahead, create standard operating procedure. These are the things that we need to do now. We can do it as a country, India. We can manufacture and we can distribute it, but we need to do it. We need to upgrade this capacities, of course. And the most important thing is that our name will be associated with it. And as a pharmacy of the world, we have to make sure that we stick with good protocols and scientific things. We know that we need it desperately, but still we cannot compromise with safety and science. And the last one is for the welfare of animals. I'm so sorry to share this article with you guys, but it's quite disturbing. When I read the starting lines of this article, I was literally, I felt that pain. That in our country, you find this sort of people who sexually abuse animals. They do acid attacks, and some of them, the reports have said that animals were thrown off rooftops and they were burnt alive and this sort of things. So disturbing and so wicked. Means it's not right at all. For a country that claims adherence to ahimsa, we see ahimsa, we promote ahimsa, we call ourselves as land of Gandhi, Buddha, Mahavira, and Lord Rama, of course. But then as we find this sort of ahimsa, we see animals are part of our when I say our, I mean to say Indian way of life, right? I'm not means like if you say Hinduism, then in with Hindu gods and goddesses, you find animals, reptiles, birds, rodents, or living creatures in general have always been a part. They are associated, and I think that is a very strong thing. Like we all are part of this ecosystem. Right, we all are dependent on each other. So when we are dependent on each other, we should not do anything that will harm each other, particularly human beings, because we can think, isn't it? We can plan, we can create, we can destroy. So we need to practice, and we need to practice compassion to animals. But these are the things that we find, and the reason is that we don't have any proper law. Legal framework is very weak. Do you know that under this Prevention of Cruelty to Animals PCA Act 1960, it punishes, or if you do a serious crime, it will just punish you with 50 rupees, and that's it. And majority of offences under the Act are non-cognizable. So police cannot take action. They need permission of magistrate. And severe offences are treated on par with less severe ones. So this is clear departure from this established principles of penology. So it's like if you slap someone or if you murder someone, you will just get same punishment, 50 rupees fine. So this is not fair, right? This is clear departure from established principles of penology. If you are burning alive an animal, then of course you need to get severe punishment. So these are the things. You see, weak law is one of the main thing. If you have a very strict law, then people we will find then as well few people, they will hit animals, but then we can deal with them. Then the law can take its course. We see so many times in our society, we have street dogs, we have cows on our streets, right? And maybe in some places you have donkeys as well and other animals. So we see many times like there are people, they hit the dog with a stick or something, and the dog is crying for next to 10-15 minutes. And if you see that dog for next few days, that dog will be literally struggling to put that particular feet on the ground. So this cruel people, right, they do this sort of things with animals who cannot speak. They are part of ours. They are like they act like natural cleaners. Cows and other animals, of course, right on the road, when they are on the road, it's a bit of problem for traffic, but we are the ones, we have snatched natural land, the place where they should be able to roam freely, but we have created buildings over there, and then the rest of the land is this agricultural land, so we have left no place for them. So but then as well we find people are hitting them and beating animals, and this is not right. So it's very disturbing. So we need strong guidelines, and we need to practice compassion, because our constitution as well, the constitution requires all citizens to have compassion for living creatures. And if we are not able to treat our animals very well, then we are not following our constitution. Simple as that. And I'm not sure who said this thing, but whoever said it, I agree with it. This statement that if you want to judge a society, then look how they are treating a society, how people are treating their animals, and then you will realize how good or bad they are, or what kind of society you are living. So that applies on us as well, right? But not by just praying or just by praising deities, gods and goddesses, and by not understanding this whole structure that we all are part of ecosystem. On one side we are doing puja, on the other side we are beating animals. So that is a paradox, and that is not right. So I hope things will change. Let's hope. But anyway, this was a very disturbing, particularly for me, it was a disturbing article. And here you have some news items, dear friends, and I will see you soon with daily financial news analysis. Till then, enjoy your studies. God bless you all. Jai Hind.